Edwardian Christmas tea. The Elgin Area Heritage Society welcomes you. And we couldn't have picked a nicer day, right? Had we known it would be so cool. I hope you enjoy yourselves, and I just wanted to spend a moment just to lay out the afternoon for you. My name is Mary Rowntree, and I will be your hostess this afternoon. And all of the board of directors wish to welcome you here. We have spent 10 years restoring the schoolhouse, and it's a lovely thought that the Elgin Public School could host a tea. We were reminiscing as we decorated last week about the last time Christmas carols would have been sang in this room and prepared, and we think it was 50 years ago that the last Christmas was celebrated here in the classroom, and in 1964 the new school opened across the way. So we're in a few moments going to have some nice youthful voices reminding us of things gone by, and we'll introduce those in a moment. So we hope you've had a little something to drink, and we will be bringing out some veggies and things, and then we'll have the choir come and sing for you this afternoon from South Crosby Public School. The washrooms are located to my left here, and at the back of the classroom there is also a washroom to the left. Like days gone by, you will find it a frosty experience. Don't keep pushing for hot water, it's not there. You will be quick in and out, but it will remind you of days gone by, of what it was like to be in school. I did attend this school, and I avoided the washrooms at all costs, especially in winter. Your hostesses will be coming to tables, but also we have this lovely gentleman, Ted Dwyer, here this afternoon, selling tickets on our raffle. And at 4 o'clock or at the end of the tea, we will have our raffle. This raffle we've been spending all year trying to fundraise for finishing painting inside and outside. And so we have tickets, and if you don't have them, think about purchasing them to help support the continued restoration of the school. Seth has already brought some of the presents. The first place prize is up here, and a few other under the tree, and it would be lovely if our winner is here today. Anyway, welcome, and continue chatting for a moment, and we'll arrange to have the choir come. She knows and she's curious. please welcome the South Crosby Public School Choir Director Carrie Vingerhoitz-Nolan, and her choir from South Crosby Public School. Please put your hands together.
Nature sing, and heaven and nature sing,
here, let's warn.
You got yours?
I've got two.
Sticker lovely magic here. Pull out the winning name. We have someone who's crowned with greatness. Someone from Kingston. Is it Maine? Miley? Miley, I think you're our winner of the hat draw. If you can't use it, maybe Mom could. And while you're having your tea, we have 2 DVDs that were done here, stories from those who attended this school and from South Crosby Public Schools. And so I hope you enjoy them. Thank you for coming. I'm very fortunate at the Edwardian tea to have Jemima Ripley Slater. So Jemima has come this afternoon to join us and to tell us a bit about what life was like in Elgin and North Leeds 100 and 110 years ago, about that time. And Jemima has been known in Time Traveler to be seen at the Elgin Library. So you may know her in another life as Sue Warren, our lovely local historian. So please put your hands together and let us welcome Jemima.
I'm not sure why I'm back in Elgin, because Delta is a much flashier town. We have 800 people in Delta, and I spend a lot of my time there now that my husband and I are retired. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I believe I actually have some relatives in this room. Not sure where Linda went, but she's a relative of mine. And this Y is one of my cousins, so she is bringing you treats right now. I was born just outside of Elgin, just south of here, in 1837, and I was the oldest of 11 children. We were a big family, a very happy family. We only lost one child, little Hayward, at the age of 2 from whooping cough. Now, there were some other sad times. I did lose my brother Will from an axe cut and got blood poisoning. And my other young brother Lee died. He's a very young man, but he left a couple of children. His little girl Georgina died just the year before. So we had some sad times, but very happy times too. My father was a chap called Harley Ripley, and my mother was Hannah Rosewell. Now Hannah had come from England as a little girl, and she grew up on Clear Lake. My father's family were from Connecticut, but actually he was the grandson of Walter Davis. And Walter Davis, of course, was the first settler here in the township. And we had a lovely big farm. We had 500 acres, lots of cattle. We had an upper and lower farm, and we were about probably, not bragging, but we were the richest farmers in South Crosby Township. Very well. I unfortunately had to help my mother, and I did not marry like my sisters. My sister Mary married into along up the road, and my other sister married Lester Allen from Delta. And then there was my sister Sarah, who I didn't care for much. She married beneath her. Her husband was 15 years younger than her, and they went to South Dakota. However, I maintained a lovely home with my mother and father, and my youngest brother, Marsh, who didn't marry until recently. He was 52 years old when he finally married. His fiancée, Delilah Warren, refused to marry him because he smoked a cigar. And she did not like the demon tobacco. And until he quit, she would not marry him. So when he was 52 and she was 41, they finally got married. And they actually had a family. They had one daughter, Ruby. So that's a little bit about my family. Now, I myself stayed on the farm. I was a great seamstress and in high demand. The family were always shipping me off to Uncle Samuel Poole's or some of my other family members, the Queens, to do and I sewed for everybody. I didn't particularly like it, but I was very good at it. I quilted, I made pants, I made shirts. I was getting rather tired of being a single, unmarried woman. And then, lo and behold, father and mother died, marched off the farm, and I was just a little bit getting sick and tired of looking after nieces and nephews. I was getting rather exhausted doing all the sewing. And my good friend Evelyn died, and her husband Ernestus Leiter was and he proposed to me. So I had two young stepdaughters who later married, and I managed to have grandchildren and a whole little family of my own after poor Evelyn died of consumption. We settled over in Sweets Corners for a while, and then we retired in Delta, where we are now living. I apparently am very good at getting the furnace in the church going. I'm noted for that. My clothing has become much nicer, and Ernestus and I travel. We've taken a train trip to see my much-loved sister Sarah in South Dakota. We've been to Chicago. We have money. I have a very interesting life now. So I have been invited to come and talk about Christmas as I remember. I was born the year after Queen Victoria took the throne, or was it the year before? I can't quite remember. About 1837. As I say, the farm, we were a mixture of English and American traditions as far as Christmas went. And I hate to tell the audience, but we didn't do much about Christmas when I was a child. Christmas as we know it today, with Santa Claus and the Christmas fairies and all the lovely school concerts, we really didn't do much of it when I was a little girl in the 1840s. So what I'm going to do is just take you through a little bit about Christmas in this area. As I remember, I found some old newspapers. Ernestus is a bit of a pack rat, and the whole attic is full of old newspapers. So I've been spending some time looking through them. Kingston newspapers, Perth newspapers. And so, what do we know about Christmas in the early days? Our families were English, and being English, we did decorate the house with greens. We didn't have mistletoe like they did in the old country, so we just made do with whatever we could find, hemlock and cedar and balsam. We didn't have a Christmas tree because it really wasn't a big tradition. We always had a lovely meal. We slaughtered a few chickens and turkeys before Christmas, and occasionally a goose. And we did make mincemeat, which was, again, very much British tradition, and plum pudding, too. But generally not many gifts, not stockings. Christmas was not celebrated much in our area in the early days. Now, in Kingston, there was a little bit more excitement about it. For example, I found a lovely ad about what was going to happen at Christmas in a place called the Land of Cakes. They call around the Kingston area the Land of Lakes. Well, this was a shop called the Land of Cakes. In 1841, mint confectionaries in fancy packages, horns and plenty, Scotch shortbread, Scotch seed cakes and pies. We will intimidate that the shop will remain open all of Christmas Day to accommodate those who won't find it convenient to come. There were 2 days a year where things were closed besides Sundays, and that was Christmas and New Year's. Unfortunately, some shops stayed open. And in Perth, in the 1850s, all the young men in Perth wrote a petition to the newspaper asking that they get Christmas the day after Christmas off, because they only got 2 days a year and Christmas was on a Sunday. So the store stayed open. Now, some suggested gifts for children and adults in the 1840s, and of course in the towns they were more inclined to give gifts, were Henry, the Juvenile Traveler, a book by the wife of a British officer, which I'm sure the children just adored. There were annuals, and annuals were magazines that had lovely steel engravings. There was a Rose of Sharon, a literary souvenir. You could give a fur tippet or a cut-and-color glass bottle for an adult. And mahogany-looking glasses were big in the 1840s. Now, locally, we had some rather disreputable families. I was a Baptist, and we were very upstanding. We didn't dance, we didn't play cards. We believed in healthy things like tea parties and skating and so on. We had some rather drunken neighbors down at Jones Falls. The Sweeney family and some of their cohorts. Apparently, I have had a chance to read Mr. Sweeney's journals, and his Christmases consisted mainly of quarreling with his wife, Catherine. There was another Christmas, he was in Kingston, and a friend called Short drove them home. We came home Christmas Eve, upset the sleigh twice. He was high, and so was I. Sometimes they would go down to visit the Sands at the Narrows. Actually, a rather more upstanding family. Archibald and his wife were by far superior to the Sweeneys, who were a little coarse. In 1850, apparently Mr. Sweeney got in a fight with the superintendent of the Rideau Canal, who accused him of being high. And he had to break roads of heavy snow to get him down to Kingston that day. He was spent Christmas Day in bed, sick from making roads, or you can imagine what else. Our family were temperance, and we subscribed to the temperance publications. In the Temperance Advocate, there were some terrible things about the evils of drinking at Christmas. Festivities were held one year in the Kingston area. A soldier attempted to crossing the ice and was found frozen stiff. He had to have his legs and arms amputated, and apparently he did not survive. Another party was going on, and a man needed gates to pull, and it slipped, and he succumbed. And then there was a carter working at the Kingston Brewery, got drunk, fell from the sleigh, and died. So Christmas cheer in my family was a little different than some of these people's Christmas cheer. They put up a lovely church in Phillipsville, which our family attended after that, and Ernestus and I don't go to that one anymore, but that was where my family went. Something that started to happen in 1844, I would have been about 7 or 8 years old, and a book started to make Christmas a little more popular. It was called The Christmas Carol by Boz. And those of you in the 21st century know Boz as Charles Dickens. The Christmas Carol was a breakaway hit. They sold thousands and thousands of copies, 40,000 copies in the first 2 or 3 years. And because there wasn't copyright, they took it to North America and they published it as well. And everyone started reading it. The spirit of Christmas became very popular and was often shown as a great jolly guy with flowing white hair and a green robe down to the ground and maybe mistletoe in his hair. Now, you might guess where I'm going from with this one. We read it, and every year Boz, or as I say, Charles Dickens, would publish another Christmas story. So everybody knows A Christmas Carol, but there were many more published, and they were bought by all kinds of people, particularly those of us who lived in Upper Canada, which of course was under British control. The expression, "we wish you a Merry Christmas," was popularized by Mr. Dickens. I prefer, like Queen Victoria, to say Happy Christmas, because Merry usually implies a little bit too much alcohol. Unwholesome behavior is implied. Merry means drunk. Now, the lovely Christmas tree that we see today, and everyone has in their homes now that it's 1905, didn't really start being particularly popular until quite a bit later. Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, came from Germany, and it was a German tradition. The British royal family, of course, is more German than English, and they had had them for a few decades. But Prince Albert, there was, in the London Illustrated News in 1848, there was a picture of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria, the young children gathered around a Christmas tree. It wasn't a tall one like this one. It was quite short and put on a little stand. And that, within 2 years, was published in the Lady Godey books. And these were fashion books that seamstresses, of course, loved to look at. They were very popular. They showed the latest style, and everybody read them in North America. Most of the women, there'd be a Lady Godey's being passed around, the good ladies of Elgin at that time, and they popularized it too. Within 20 years, there were Christmas trees everywhere. There were Christmas trees, quite often not in homes, but in Sunday schools or in schools or in community centers. They sometimes weren't in the home, they'd be in a public place. The early trees were decorated, as you can see, with fruit and homemade items like pine cones, and sometimes there'd be figs or dates. There might be gingerbread men. They were homemade ornaments in our area. Although by 1900, you could get some lovely home ones that were made in Germany and in England. What we decorated our trees with were candles. And there was a chap called the Reverend Herman Warren, who lived in Elgin in the 1870s, and I'm well acquainted with him, but he does not live here anymore. And he wrote about, at the Elgin Church, the Methodist Church, a lovely Christmas tree lit with wax candles. These wax candles were a little bit dangerous, and we used to have a covering under the tree to catch the drips. But that would have been in the 1870s that we know that we had trees in our particular area. Over in Crosby, they had a wonderful Christmas tree, and each one of the school children, the Sunday school children, got a gray stocking with an orange in it. And they were thrilled. This was really a treat. Oranges were wonderful. Even today, oranges are really a treat. We don't get them very often. And then after the sleigh ride home, the children went to the barn and hid in the barn and listened to see if they could hear the animals talk at midnight. It was an old legend, and at that time, everybody thought if they stayed up till midnight, they might hear the animals start talking. They didn't, apparently. Everybody fell asleep in the loft. We know that gift giving was done. In our area, the first sign of gift giving I found was in an old store ledger in 1838 in Newborough. And Mrs. Kilbourne, and we all know Kilbournes, Mrs. Kilbourne went to Benjamin Tett, and she didn't. Her husband bought her fancy hair combs and brown paper and string the day before Christmas. So we know that they were giving gifts. They were not well off as people in urban areas, but there were gifts given. Certainly around Christmas, lots of raisins and spices were going on. By the 1860s, in our local newspapers, there were some wonderful gifts being given. A magic lantern. Anyone know what a magic lantern is? It has great big slides that are about this big, of various scenes, maybe biblical scenes or scenes of a story, and you can show a magic lantern show. And they showed these in Elgin. They're still showing them today, actually. You could get a microscope, a mammoth picture book, untearable linen children's books, carpet balls, which were little balls that you played bowling with, rocking horses, sleighs for boys, snowshoes, and pomades. Things were a little smelly in the old days, and a pomade would be how it against your nose to stop from smelling maybe horse manure or pig manure on the street. There was some wonderful sheet music in the 1860s. This was during the American Civil War, and you could buy this for your sweetheart. Sheet music for piano and voice. Mother, I've come home to die. No one to love. Never despond. And then there was a shower of pearls for duets. You could get the book of Pentateuch and the book of Joshua by Bishop Colenso, a real hot bestseller. Anthony Trollope's Orley Farm, Canoe and Paddle. You could get Prince Albert skates, High Rocker skates, Ladies Club skates, London Club skates, and Boys and Girls skates. And a real hot seller in 1863 in Kingston was Miss Lilliput's Legacy by
Charles Dickens, another lovely Christmas story. You could buy cartes de visite of the royal family, including the Prince of Wales, the Princess of Wales, and their new baby. Now, some things haven't changed much. You could buy a lovely photograph album with pictures of Kingston and compliments of the season. In the Perth newspaper, we wish our readers one and all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and many returns of the same. And in addition, we wish for honest government. So some things don't change. Now, I have been talking to various neighbors, and we've been trying to think of early Christmas stories in our area. It's hard to find authentic stories, but I've been chatting with Anna Dargavel Chamberlain. And she was born a couple years after me. She was a member of the Dargavel family, who of course lived outside of Elgin. And she married a chap called Will Chamberlain from over in Newborough. And so this was a story that was in their family, and I thought I'd just tell it. Whoops. Her brother John was quite well known, and in any case, Anne and Will worked, he worked as a carpenter and a furniture maker, and he supplemented his wages with a little farm. Now they were married, this would be about the mid-1860s, and Will acquired a Richards 12-gauge double-barreled shotgun at a store in Chantry in return for framing a barn for the storekeeper. And it was his pride and joy. Nobody else could use it. On one occasion, Anna had to fire it at a black bear who was munching on her precious hens hung in the family smokehouse. One afternoon that autumn, Will, who'd been visiting Newborough, wandered in from his workshop and told Anna he'd seen the nicest reloading outfit for his gun. Since the family had to get the land cleared of stumps, there wasn't much money. Anna, however, kept thinking about how much Will loved that reloading set and all its brassy glory in the store window. After some investigation, she found out the set would cost $4.50, a huge sum of money. With her egg and butter money, she arranged to pay the grocer the full amount. But Mr. Tet couldn't tell Will anything about it. One evening, while reading his Bible, Will took off his glasses and shut the book with a snap, announced to Anna the next day he intended to buy the reloading outfit. The staff at the store volunteered the information the set was gone. Some little old man at the back of Westport picked it up, but they couldn't remember his name. Although Will continued to make reference to the lost reloading set, he dropped the topic. Shortly before Christmas, Anna smuggled the set home in her shawl and polished it. On Christmas morning, after milking the cows always had to be milked. Will wandered in late, lugging a small walnut table he'd been making for Anna. He shouted "Merry Christmas," but stopped in his tracks at the sight of the little set shining like stars on the breakfast table. Then as Anna recounted the story, he gasped, "So you were the little old man from the back of Westport." The story was told many years. It sounds a little bit like O. Henry's story, suspiciously, which of course Mr. O. Henry has just published recently. So Christmas was a happy time and a sad time. I was just going to talk a little bit about Christmas meals, if I can find my notes here, folks. Christmas dinner consisted of all kinds of different treats. And one of the biggest treats for Christmas dinner was mince pie. And I found a recipe in a local newspaper for mince pie. It's a wonder that people didn't weigh about 500 pounds in the old days. So at 3 rounds of beef, no fat, and boil. Add smoked tongue. Chop and mix. 4 pounds of suet, 4 pounds of apples, 4 pounds of stoned raisins. And raisins in those days, they had to take the stones out. That's what that means. 2 pounds currant, 1 pound citron, 1/4 pound lemon peel, juice of 4 oranges and lemons, 4 pounds of sugar, 2 nutmegs, clove, cinnamon, mace. That was how you made mince pie. Now, a typical Christmas menu, now this is more in our time period, around 1905, oysters. Everybody loved oysters. Oysters were everywhere. They were in Newborough, they were in Delta, they were in Elgin, they were in Barrows. People sometimes succumb from oysters. But we loved them. There were Here's a typical dinner: oysters, fried smelts, yum, roast turkey with chestnuts, roast venison, mashed and sweet potatoes, celery, cranberry, and pickles, roast chickens with dressing, plum pudding, mince pie, fruit candy, and nuts. A typical Christmas dinner. Now, here we have a recipe for plum pudding. Not a plum in it. Stone 1 pound of raisins, pour half a gill of brandy over it. 2 ounces of citron, candied orange peel, lemon peel, grated orange peel, and juice of an orange. 4 ounces of, can't read that one. A pound of currants, a pound of suet, and a pound of coffee sugar, nutmeg, much cayenne, and salt. Soak with another gill of sherry. Just before baking, add 8 eggs and sweet cream. Let all the young ladies descend and stir the fruity compound for good luck. Nothing about the young men. Butter the mold and boil for 8 hours. Pour brandy on it and light it up. Here's a funny little joke I found about the same time in the newspaper. Fat turkey. I've been living high lately. I wonder what's the matter. What is this Christmas busy anyway? The thin turkey who has consumption. You'll know by tonight, ha ha. Now is a combination of the spirit of Christmas from England and in Northern Europe there was St. Nicholas, but not so much in England. This was more in Holland and in Scandinavia and certainly in Germany. And again, thanks to Prince Albert, Father Christmas became a little bit of a character in England, but also in the United States. In 1823, a very famous poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas. And in this poem, Mr. Moore set up what Santa today that we think of with his, he was chubby, he rode the sleigh through the air, he came down the chimney, and he remained, though, more of a, not a popular item in Christmas until the 1860s. And Harper's Magazine, which was very popular, started publishing pictures of Santa at Christmas because of the Civil War. And he would show families sitting around the mantelpiece with Santa coming down and hoping that Dad would come home from the Civil War. Sometimes in the early days, Father Christmas rode on a goat. It wasn't always reindeer. But very slowly the spirit of Christmas became Santa Claus, and also St. Nicholas became Santa Claus. They more or less became the same person. And the first local mention I found of Santa coming was in 1863, around the time of the Civil War. He's mentioned in a Kingston paper, Santa Claus coming, and he's bringing Noah's Arks, which were a great toy. They were a little ark with Noah's animals that the children could play with, humming tops, violins, flutes, guitars, and mouth harps, chocolate drops, lemon drops, conversation lozenges, ginger drops, German wooden toys, and you could get Dickens' Christmas Story for 10 cents that year. And if you really wanted to give the children a great treat, you could get the stereoscope and look at pictures of the Kingston Courthouse. Here are some other goodies in the 1870s in Perth that Santa was bringing along from the Perth bookstore and Kellogg's drugstore. We hope the nice old man will not fail to make his numerous purchases come one and come all to the Kellogg's drugstore. Look out for Santa Claus, Crystal White Coal Oil, Pure Norway Cod Liver Oil, Castilian ointments, and strychnine for killing foxes. Santa obviously wasn't quite bringing some of the things that we were. There was a poem here in 1880 in the Perth magazine that shows Santa flying through the air. He didn't have reindeer in this one. A true story of Santa among the golden tales of youth. They're none so large and dear as tales of good old Santa Claus, who brings the children Christmas cheer. He skims the clear and frosty air to fill the stockings red and white. He basks within the hearthstone's glow, laughs, and is off into the night. Not very good poetry, but you get the idea. Here's a wonderful 1879. Old Time with his renewed onward march has brought us to the close of another year. We're being plunged into the 80s. 79 is breathing its last. It's been a trying year for business, but in its depth we see light ahead. Let us hope the 70s are the end of this Great Depression and the 80s decade will usher us into prosperity. We've not dealt with unfavorably in our business, so we wish to express our gratitude. It has been our usual custom and testimony of our goodwill to all men to give a present to each of our cash customers during holiday season. Now these weren't barter customers, these were ones that actually had cash in hand, and they got a gift. We will not be offering a present this year. We intend to give every customer $3 worth of goods, not a can of peaches or bars of soap or a can of salmon, but to return 30 cents in cash. So, and on the same page, Holloway's Pills, a great household medicine, ranks among the wonders and necessities of life. It will purify liver, stomach, and bowels, giving kidneys tone and energy and vigor to the main springs of life. They also were selling at the drugstore Pain King and quinine wine, which was for malaria, and standard cough medicine. Other holiday goods would include Eastlake frames, photograph albums, tin toys, wax and china dolls, lamps, and a grand display of Christmas cards. And that was in 1879, the first mention locally of Christmas cards. Although they had been around, they weren't being given popularly until the end of our century. Now, Christmas games and entertainment, so much fun. We like to play a game of Snapdragon. Anybody ever heard of Snapdragon? Okay, this is what you did. You filled a shallow bowl, was filled with liquor. Now we didn't drink it, we just poured it on the raisins and set it alight. And the players had to snatch the raisins out of the fire. Put your mouth over it to extinguish the flame. And here we go with the little chant. And this was really a lot of fun earlier in the century. Today we don't play this much, but we play with it. Here he comes with flaming bowl. Don't he mean to take a toll? Snap, snap, dragon. Take one, but don't take too much. Be not greedy in your clutch. Snip, snap, dragon. With his blue and snapping tongue, many of you will be stung. Snip, snap, dragon. For he snaps at all that comes, snatching at the feast of something or other. Snip, snap, dragon. There were Christmas carols sung as well, but we didn't sing a lot of carols in the 19th century until later on, and they were popularized more and more. There were some very old British melodies, like God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which isn't God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, it's God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. I would prefer it, God Rest Ye Happy Gentlemen. Christmas was a great time for fun, though. For example, here are some things that were happening around Christmas Day. 1872, penny readings by the Temperance Society with comic and sentimental music. 1879, Christmas Day, 20 women from the Presbyterian Church made a gift of a chair to the minister's wife, Mrs. Wilson. She was overcome with emotion and couldn't speak. She wasn't used to speaking publicly, and Mr. Wilson chose to speak to everybody. There were social balls on Christmas Eve, Sunday school parties with a locket for the teacher, and of course, midnight mass at the Roman Catholic Church. In 1875, I found a little bit about Portland on Christmas Day. Half of Portland was out skating on the bay, or driving, or gracefully gliding. There was a trotting match at New Year's with a purse of $20 for the winner, but apparently it was a bit of a not so much fun. There was amateur theater in Kingston on Christmas Eve. For example, in 1862, the charcoal burner and the roaring farce of the omnibus. Music by the regimental band. On the same page, you could rent a convict if you wished. He had to stay in prison, but you could rent a blacksmith or wagon maker. Shoemakers were accepted, and you could, they just had to give the tender, and how many convicts did you need? 1851, a fancy bazaar. You had a choice of obtaining a writing desk or a silver cake plate, and it was a little bit of a lottery. Now, the school concert in the school near Westport. The children showed a display of interesting character and favorable ability. There was a little lad played Cock Robin, and somebody else recited Horatio at the bridge. And for those who don't know that poem, that was a great Victorian poem. 1875, these children obeyed like a troop of juvenile soldiers. Unfortunately, the building got hot and overcrowded, and the children's performance was drowned out by the sound of speaking. So you're a good audience today. 4-year-old little Maggie Ireland did Perplexities of a Housekeeper in pantomime. 5-year-old John Major did Cock Sparrow and applied actions to words, and at the very end, the screen was pulled off on the stage, and people were able to enjoy the candlelit Christmas tree. Now, charity was a big item at Christmas, and charity, I think, throughout Christmas, even before it was really celebrated the way we do today, was celebrated. It was a time for helping the less fortunate. Today we have the lovely House of Industry in Athens, where albeit the people have to work for their living and are very poor and sometimes elderly and don't really get buried with a tombstone, at least we have a House of Industry, and our lovely township pays for it. However, 1862, Orphan Home Sale. We're requested to remind our readers of the sale today in George Hardy's vacant store on Princess Street. Large number of useful items were left over from the late bazaar, so you can get a Christmas gift and help those less fortunate. There was a young girl, and it was around Christmas of 1863, and she was found under a sheet. She did not have anything on but the sheet. She was found in a snowdrift. And someone wrote a letter to the newspaper about this poor unfortunate girl. Her mother and stepfather wouldn't take her back into the house. She'd been found in Brockville, and they brought her up, and on the way up she was throwing her socks and everything out into the ditch because she was obviously having some issues. And eventually the community was trying to get something together to help her. They didn't have houses of industry in the 1860s. There was nothing for those who were poor. And so it was really important to look after the poor. Now today, Christmas is a wonderful time. I just heard in Toronto that they got Santa Claus in some kind of parade in 1903, 2 years ago. They were all lit up, and Christmas is a great time. Something I want for Christmas myself, and there's a picture of Santa with it, is abyssal carpet sweeping. I'm very excited, and Ernestus knows what I want for Christmas. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Christmas today, and then I think I'm going to end because I'm getting very tired. I am not long for this world. However, now in this wonderful period, you can get canned fruit. This is amazing. We can have canned blueberries, strawberries, and we can get jelly powder in the store, golden jelly powder. We have fancy calendars, and one thing that people are just adoring are Kodaks. And you can get a Kodak and take pictures of the family at Christmas. We can get evaporated pears and apples, potted herring, duck and turkey, kippered herring, cranberries, of course, dates, and oranges and lemons. And oranges are great for the children's Christmas stockings. However, you can also get cross-greased Eastern ribbons. Be a man, rouse yourself, take hope again, and be a man. Easter bomb has cured thousands of whatever it is. The Christmas bargain table, December 15th, again in Perth. This is 1900. This store will greet the opening of another business day with a sight calculated to gladden the hearts of its patrons. Every table in the store will be loaded with bargains for Christmas needs. Christmas makes many demands on your purse, and we have a plan to make the dollars go faster. Ladies can get fur ruffs and gauntlets, celluloid dressing cases, kid gloves, silver and gold bracelets, stick pins. Children, oh, the racket there will be when the pop guns, tin whistles, drums, and toy cannons go off to work on a Christmas morning. Nobody will be disappointed. We even have dolls for 1 cent each. little tiny China dolls. They're deals offered by the Canadian Pacific Railway, Christmas and New Year's single first-class fares, so you can visit your family. And I'm just going to read a poem about the day after Christmas. Ernestus and I have grandchildren. I can relate. Oh, the paint is on the baby. And the baby's on the floor. Oh, he's wriggling hard and maybe he's not setting up a roar. And the paint is off the camel and the yak and kangaroo. And the woman's gay enamel lines the youngster through and through. He shoot the sheep and shepherd and munch the knots and dined upon the leopard till his stomach's full of spots. Oh, he whirls in fiendish frolic till like a pinwheel flies in a knot of painters call it that no peppermint unties. And from Frisco to Atlanta, you can hear him through the night yelling things about old Santa that are rude and impolite. I would invite anyone, if they can see, to take a look later at some of our wonderful advertisements in our local stores. We have information about Christmas pageants set in Fairyland with Santa for the school concert, and all kinds of samples of different things, but you will need a magnifying glass to look at. Now, unfortunately, you'll notice my hair is shorn. I will, apparently, according to some hocus pocus, I will pass away in 1905. I just wanted to mention, I saw a lovely newspaper article about the royal family and the Kaiser of Germany giving gifts to the King of England, and the Kaiserine giving gifts as well to the Queen of England. They were cousins in a very close-knit family. The Ottoman Sultan, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, was giving gifts too. He gave snuff, and apparently the royal family gave him marmalade. So it's a lovely, peaceful world. We don't know in 10 years that things are going to change a little bit, but I won't be around for that since I meet my demise in 1905. I would like to thank you and wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Very much, Jemima. Or Jemima. Sue Jemima has a wonderful knack of bringing the past alive to us, as she has done this afternoon, and we have relived what it's like at Christmas time in 1905. As well, Sue had done this for our Ghost Walk, and that took place in October. Some of you may have been present, and she did just as wonderful a job at that time. Thank you very much, Sue. I want very much to thank you for coming today. Thank you for enjoying this room that we have decorated, especially for the event. And I want you to thank Mary Sue Roundtree at the back. I think Mary Sue should have a crown, because she is our queen of the teams. You may have remembered that last year during our 125th celebration, we had a tea and we had a historic costume tea, and that was chaired by Mary Sue, as this one has been as well. And we also thank the people who are serving us. We have got, let's see, we've got Anne O'Mara, exactly, behind us. Anyway, you can see that there's a lot of work that has been done, not just by these people, but all of the members of the Elgin Heritage.
Can I introduce our
Please, please do.
Back for a second performance, my daughter Rebecca Rowntree. Kim Proud. Kim knew Leeds County did not have decent trees, so she brought from Lanark County our tree. Linda Sly. Brenda Murphy back for a repeat performance. And the lady who has done the food for us, except some special treats that have just come out to some of the members of the board help, Sheila Campbell, our favorite. Imagine how much work Ted has put into this. He has faithfully organized us, and Ted, we owe you such a thanks for organizing this raffle fundraising draw this past year. Please, let's thank Ted.
I had a number of thank yous I wanted to give all. Is this working? First of all, I want to thank all of you folks. You're our supporters. I want to thank all of you for coming out, and many of you have been to several of our events. Most of you, I would have to say, after today, all of you have purchased tickets, probably on numerous occasions. Got a great group of volunteers. We're looking for more. And I wanted to thank all of the volunteers that are here today, and all of the volunteers that have helped us all summer with the selling of tickets. I think Mary Sue and her crew have done a superb job. I hope you've all enjoyed it today, and what we're going to do now is the draw for our major prizes, which has been our major fundraiser for the day. Now, I have two young helpers here, and they've agreed to share duties. So I'm going to ask Emma to come back up again. And Emma, what we're going to do, we have 6 prizes, so we're going to start at prize number 6 and work our way up to the grand prize. So Emma, can you take the top off that jar? Emma's going to reach into the jar and give it a little bit of a stir, and she's going to pull out 1 ticket, and that will be our 6th prize, which, if I remember correctly, and I better take a look, comes from Healthy Bodies. If you went out. Kendra McDougall from Mellons Road.
All right. Do you need a secretary?
Emma, give us another ticket, please. Well, that is a tough one. That's Mary Mackey from Indian Lake, Yithamis Road. Mary has won a prize from the Castle Building in Crosby. It's a power tool. And I know they're doing some drywall work, so it will be handy. Look at all the winners. Hugh LeFay from Davis Lock Road. Anyone here? All right. Could we have a round for Emma on this one? This young lady, Ella, is going to draw some more tickets for us. So Ella, would you reach in, give them a good stir first, and then give us a ticket? Donna Hoover.
Oh, good.
From Troy Lake Road. The one thing I like about this is the tickets are the winners are all local, so these are the folks that support us, and we're happy that the prizes are staying local. Anna Stanton.
Is she here?
This is the big one. Big one coming up here. Over here.
Come on out, look at my ticket.
John Road. I know John now.
Okay.
John is John is a summer visitor who spent most of his summer youth in Elgin, St. Smith.
That's right.
So, all the winners have stayed true. I think that's just great. I really want to thank everyone again for your support.
Good.